Environmental restrictions can often impact the value of the farmland, leaving producers speculating over how significant a reduction of value might be and how it can be measured. Roger McEowen with the Washburn School of Law joins us now with some guidance in today's Rural Money segment. Roger, appreciate having you with us. Now, what are some practical aspects when valuing agricultural land?
Well, Tammy, good to be with you today. I think one of the best things that you can do and have a professional do it for you when you're buying ag land is just create a checklist of assets that require action by others concerning evaluation. So appraisals and environmental land use restrictions that are recorded in the real estate records. We want to make sure that we check those. Maybe do an environmental audit of the property and check assessment figures for property tax purposes. Sometimes if you see a low assessment figure, that can be a tip-off that there might be some land use restrictions on that property.
Well, now, so what are some of the big ways that environmental constraints can impact the value of agricultural land?
Well, depending on the part of the country you're in, we see 2 or 3 of these that come up. Just about anywhere it could be either hazardous or hazardous waste or prior pesticides and chemicals that have been used on the property where there's residues that remain. But other parts of the country can see restrictions associated with wetlands. We see that come up in the prairie pothole region, and also endangered species. If they have found this property to be part of their habitat and they've taken up residence there, there can be some pretty significant federal restrictions on that land, and so that can be a concern in states such as California and Texas and Florida and even elsewhere, but those would be the big ones.
Yeah, I can see that. Now, how significant can the reduction of land value be in these particular situations?
Well, that's an answer where it really depends, but I've seen restrictions drop where they're significant by over 75% off that fair market value, and that can be a really big deal. Now, of course, that's going to require a lot of restrictions, but it's pretty common if you have just a basic land use restriction because of, say, a wetland law or something like that, you can drop easily at 10 to 15% off fair market value. So it just depends, and everybody's got to check, do their diligence to check to see what might be restricting the use on that property.
I always say you still got to do your homework. What's the big takeaway for farmers here?
Well, I think the big takeaway is that often we don't have to worry about these things. Buying ag land is typically straightforward, but when you do have environmental factors that might be present, that can have an impact on fair market value. So be aware of those things that can impact value and get it checked out.
All right, good advice. That's Roger McEowen with the Washburn School of Law. Appreciate your information today.